Hi there. It's February the 1st and we continue our journey through the good news of Matthew. We're in Matthew chapter 21 and we're looking at verses 23 through to the end of the chapter. The Pharisees come to Jesus and they see themselves as the guardians of the temple, and this is when he's teaching in the temple, so they ask him a very simple question, although it's a trick question. By whose authority are you doing this? They're probably about to lay their authority on him. But Jesus turns the tables on them, and there are people all around him. There are people who he's rescued. People are following him from all walks of life, and they're avidly listening to his teaching. So he asks them a question. He says, John the Baptist, his baptism, which many of these people around me would have gone out to, and even you went to check out, was it from heaven or was it of the earth? Was it from God or was it something not of God? And then the Pharisees have a terrible moment, because they know that if they say it was from God, Jesus would say, why didn't you accept him then? And if they said it was from men, then the people would have attacked them, would have been rising up against them, would have rejected their authority. So they're in a cleft stick. And so they choose not to answer. They choose to hide from revealing it. And Jesus simply says then, neither will I tell you by what authority I do this. Of course, John the Baptist was linked to Jesus' initiation as Messiah. Jesus was baptized by John and the Holy Spirit came to him on that occasion. So also in acknowledging that John's baptism was from heaven, they would be actually acknowledging what happened with Jesus as well. And they know that the Messiah is going to be revealed in the temple, and here is Jesus in the temple. Jesus then asks them a question. Says there were a man who had two sons. The first son was asked to go and work in the fields, and he said, yes, I'll go, and didn't go. The other one said, no, I'm not going, and he actually went. Which of those actually obeyed the Father? But it was obviously the one who went, the one who did what he was supposed to. Jesus is highlighting the difference between the Pharisees and the tax collectors and the prostitutes, the people who have followed him, whose their lives look like they're saying no to God, but actually they're now following him. They're doing what God has called them to do. While the Pharisees are busy saying that they're working under God's authority and doing what he says, but actually all the time they're not actually obeying God. It's a very sharp criticism that Jesus brings against them at this point. And then Jesus tells a story of the tenants, the parable of the tenants, where he depicts the vineyard owner who sends messengers to take the fruit, to collect the fruit from the vineyard keepers, from the ones who've been employed to keep the vineyard. And they actually kill the messengers. And lastly, they kill the Son who is sent. Now, obviously, the Son represents Jesus here. He represents the Son of God. He represents the Messiah. And this is not lost on the Pharisees. They realise that this is what Jesus is saying, that he is accusing them of being the ones who are in the line of those who killed the prophets, those God sent. And then Jesus says something very clear at the end of his teaching here, at the end of this parable. He quotes from Psalm 118 and also makes an allusion to the vision of the statue in Daniel 2. And the phrase from Psalm 118 that he says is that the stone that the builders rejected has been made the cornerstone. It says those who are built on this will survive, those who fall on it will be crushed, and those on whom it falls will be broken. And this is also a picture from Daniel of the piece of stone that broke off the statue and crushed the statue, crushed the kingdoms of this earth. It's a sign of the kingdom coming. And Jesus actually says at one point to the Pharisees, these prostitutes and tax collectors, the ones that you were so against, are actually going to be coming into the kingdom ahead of you, because they are actually receiving this good news. It's so important that we recognise that Jesus here is welcoming, he's forgiving, he's open-hearted, he's not laying down hard and fast religious rules, he's not making barriers to coming into his kingdom. What he wants is for us to accept his love and his grace, to follow him, to obey him, to do what he calls us to do, but to be in a relationship with him first and foremost. Today, let's be quick to respond to his call to come and to be close to him and to obey him. Have a very good February the 1st.